Hi there, I'm Mary Susie from Bead Me a Story. Thanks so much for joining me today. I am going to be showing you the Vertebrae stretch bracelet. I'm using EPDM rubber O-rings for these. These are an industrial strength rubber, so this is not like rubber bands or something like this. They do stretch, however, they don't stretch as much as a rubber band would, but it does stretch enough to fit this over your wrist. This is a perfect project for a first-time beginner. If you're just learning to open and close jump rings properly, this is a very easy pattern, so you'll be able to do it quite easily. Now, please be sure to like this video if you're watching it and learning from it. We'd really appreciate it. And of course, we'd love it if you would follow us on YouTube as well. Really helps our channel and allows us to create more content for you. So as we begin this today, I'm going to be working with this blue version of the Vertebrae bracelet. And let me just set these other ones to the side so that you can see. I just want you to see that this can stretch way out. And part of this is the design and part of this is having rubber O-rings in here. But you can also collapse this back in. So this is a one size fits most. That doesn't happen very often where we can accommodate a whole bunch of sizes. I would say that this 18 row version that I'm going to do is going to fit anyone from a 6-inch wrist up to about a 7.5-inch wrist. All of these that you are seeing here are kits, and I will just mention that each of the kits has an additional 3 rows in case you have an extra large wrist. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get started learning to make the Vertebrae stretch bracelet. Okay, so to create a Vertebrae bracelet, this is very, very simple. Basically, you can see I've taken my 15mm O-rings and I've set them inside of my 20mm O-rings. So this is the largest size that I can do with rubber O-rings. These are my absolute largest ones. So the fact that this outside one is about 20mm on the outer diameter, and then we'll have little jump rings sticking out from the sides, and these are 16 gauge 1/4 inch jump rings. So 16 gauge tells me that this is a 1.6mm thickness. So the width of this bracelet is going to be about 23mm wide. Okay, so basically all that happens is I've gone ahead and set my 15mm O-rings inside the 20s, and I'm just going to treat these as one unit when they're setting inside each other. So I just want to join my first unit to my second unit, and I'm just going to lay them on top of each other, and I'll take my first jump ring and pass it around both of those first 2 units. Okay, then I'm going to close that jump ring, and then this would be the side that's away from me. So now I want to do a jump ring on the opposite side, so across the diameter from the other one that I just added. Okay, and there's our second jump ring. So this means we have completed 1 row. And I will take my top row, my second row, and I'll pull that to the right, and I'll pull the first row to the left, and then you can see them spreading out. Okay, and now I'm going to add my third row in exactly the same way. I'll take the third unit, set it on top of the second unit. I'll take a jump ring. Now I'll just go ahead and pass this around this third unit that I'm adding on, and then through the second, and then I'm going to close my jump ring. Okay, and then I want to do one on the other side. So I can do this one in 2 ways. I can kind of turn it around so I'm still working away from myself, or I can come from underneath. So I can always go through this second unit and then up through the third, and that works just as well too. Okay, so you can see we're just setting a new pair or a new unit of O-rings on top of the previous one, and then we are just using a jump ring to join these together on either side, and that's what's going to create our vertebrae stretch bracelet. Just going to show you one more. Okay, good. I was hoping one of these would not lay properly. Actually, it is. It's not too bad. But if you get your 20 millimeter O-ring kind of to the inside, and your 15 millimeter isn't laying right, you can just simply kind of give that a yank and pull it out, and then lay it back down, and everything will be laying properly. Okay. And then I'm just going to pass through this one more, and then you can see I'm just going to continue adding rows until I get this to the length that I want it to be. Okay, so keep going, keep creating your length, and then I will be back to show you how to join this when we get to the end. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished the length of my bracelet. I just want to show you, this stretches out a whole bunch, or you can kind of collapse it back in. So as I said at the very beginning, this is a one size fits most, and that is the reason, because you'll be able to stretch it out to fit it over your hand, but then once it's on your wrist, you can kind of push everything back in uniformly, and it looks great. So this is going to fit a lot of different sizes of people. Okay, so to finish this up, we of course want to make this continuous all the way around. So here's my end. I ended on the teal. I started with the blue wave. So I just want to bring this up and around, and then just kind of pay attention. You know, we kind of had a stair step going here. So we want to make sure that when I put this starting piece on, that it's above the end piece, or if I had done this in the opposite way, you know, I'm just still watching for this stair step to make sure everything is laying on top of each other. Okay, so I'll just hold this last row together, and let me make sure I open these enough before we start, so I don't have to backtrack. See, I didn't open that one very much, so just want to make sure to give myself plenty of room. Don't open it too much, but enough to get around these O-rings. Okay, so I'll take the first one, and you can see I have my starting row laying on top of the end row, so I'm going to go through the one with the blue wave first, and then I'll go through the one that has the teal, or whatever belongs to your final row. And in this final row, as we're joining this together, we do want to make sure that one is, you know, away from us and one is towards us, because with the jump rings, because of course we can't move them around like we could have as we were just making new rows of this. Okay. So closing that jump ring, and then I just have one more to go and we will be done. Okay, so I'm going through again the one from the first row, and then the one from the final row. And I gotta get around all four of those O-rings. And then just make sure as you're working, you know, when you get into tighter spaces, you want to make sure that you're not nicking your O-rings. You know, the rubber, if you tear it with your jump ring, then it will eventually break, because that tear will just grow. So, you know, just be patient getting that jump ring around. You don't have to force it. Okay, and there you have it. We have a continuous bracelet. You can't see where it began or ended, and this one, it will be great to wear, very comfortable. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed learning this. Be sure to like and follow us on YouTube, of course, and everything that you saw here, we have both kits and supplies available at beadmeastory.com. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.